All right, it is time to begin our morning Bible study. It is good to see each one that is here. A little chilly out there this morning, but warm in here. We do have with us this morning Brother Derek Brown. He's going to be presenting the class this morning as well as the morning lesson. He has a presentation, as you can see on the screen up there, that he's going to be presenting. I'm going to let him give more of an introduction to himself and what I'm going to. He knows more about him than I do. I do know that, kind of like myself, some people use Brill cream, little dab of do you. He's kind of like me, he uses mopping glow. And it works most of the time. But it is good to have Derek with us this morning, and Emma. Emma's back in the class. Another daughter is sick this morning, and so the rest of the family is with the one that is sick, and he just got back from a youth camp yesterday. But we are glad that he is with us this morning. He is going to be presenting a lesson and telling you about the work that they're going to be involved with. They came very highly recommended to us, and he sent us some information, and it was looked at, and it was deemed that by the elders to be worthy of our support, and so we did participate in that, and glad that we were able to do so. He does know William and Natalie, and he notified me the other week that he knows them up in the Atlanta area. I was kind of surprised to see y'all walk in while I was glad y'all were here this morning. It was all planned. All planned. And anyway, I'm not going to take up this time, Derek.
Thank you all very much for allowing me the time to educate you on what you as a church are participating in. As was mentioned, the church has decided to support our family. We're appreciative of that. And so we felt it was pertinent to come to share the work with you so you could be more educated about that, be praying for the work. We would appreciate that. This is my family you see on the screen. Emma, as was mentioned, is with us this morning. I've got a lot to cover, so some of this I'll go through quickly. So if there are questions that you have, please let me know. I am at Piedmont Road. I'm the deacon over international missions there. And this opportunity came to me a little over a year ago. My family and I decided to join in October of 22. And so we have since been attempting to raise funds. We presented the work to Piedmont Road back in April. They oversee my work with Open Door Ministry. Now, Open Door Ministry, before I get started with the presentation, is a mission work that is overseen by the Adairsville congregation that is up 75 going toward Tennessee. And so a faithful congregation. Adairsville, I want to say, has been overseeing the work for about a decade or more. And so the mission work is doing very well. So let's go ahead and get started. What is Open Door Ministry, just so you'll have an idea of what we're working with here. It is a global mission effort that was founded in 1990. So we are talking about a mission work that has been in existence for more than 3 decades. The founder is Dr. Demar Elam. Some folks that have been in the Atlanta area may be familiar with Demar. He preached years and years ago for the Forest Park Church. He was actually the director of mission studies at Amridge University for almost 3 decades. Demar founded the mission work in 1990, and it was began based on the premise from Revelation 3:8. If you know, the Lord speaking there said, "See, I have opened a door that no one can shut." The idea is that Demar and those he was affiliated with wanted to go anywhere globally where they felt that the Lord had opened a door and the opportunity existed. And so that was kind of the premise. And what you and I need to realize, that even on a basis of being here in Macon, across the street, whatever, we need to realize that any time that a door of evangelism has been opened, the Lord is the one that has opened that door. Now, He may have opened that door through you and I, and through the work that we do and the things that we say and the works that we engage in. But that's the premise that was established. And so it initially went into the Soviet Union in 1991. You may remember way back then, for those of you that have been around for a while, know that Boris Yeltsin was brought into power really kind of as a vote, almost as of democracy. Things were opening up a little bit under Boris Yeltsin. It was more friendly to those that wanted to come into the Soviet Union and to evangelize her citizens. And so that's exactly what Open Door Ministry did. The problem is they had prayed, DMAR told me they had prayed for years that they wanted to go into the Soviet Union. The door was opened in 1991, and so they went. But what they had not done is prepared for entry. And what had happened over the decade that they were in the Soviet Union is, he said, we really played catch up for about 10 years. We were able to make progress, establish congregations, preaching schools, and all of those things. But it was more of a catch-up. And you may remember going back into, before I speak about the Philippines, going back into 1999 when Putin came into power, things began to shut down. And so they lost their foothold. Now, the effects and the works that had happened in Russia still exist, but it's not as prominent. They're not able to spread the gospel in the ways that they once were. And so in 2004, DMAR had a friend in the Philippines that said, I want you to come take a look at what we have here. DMAR agreed to go over, looked at the work, and it was really, the gentleman called it a Bible college, but it was really more of like a large Bible study group. DMAR said, I like it, I like the area. If you've ever been to the Philippines or had any interaction with Filipino people, you'll know they're very hospitable. They're hard workers, self-starters, and so a great opportunity, and he decided to scrap what they had but build from the ground up and to start a college that was born in 2006 called Philippine Theological College, just named such to reflect the desire to evangelize the Philippines. Now, the thing is that over time, the Lord blessed the college, and it began to grow, and it became Asian Christian University in 2015. There were a number of things that needed to happen for that to transpire, of which we don't have time to go into this morning. But he did take the work that they had, and he presented it to Amridge. And he said, here's what we have at Philippine Theological College. Do we have enough to become a university? And they said, you have double what you need. He didn't take their word for it. He took the information, went to Heritage Christian University and says, here's what we have at PTC. Do we have enough to become a university? They came back and said, you have double what you need to become a university. And so Asian Christian University was born in 2015. Two things I want to mention to you. Note the name change from Philippine Theological College to Asian Christian University, and that was done purposefully to reflect the desire to go into all of Southeast Asia, not just the Philippines. You remember I told you that when DMAR and his group went into the Soviet Union, they did not prepare. He said, that is not going to happen to us again. We're not going to get caught flat-footed. We're going to pray for doors of opportunity to be open to us in the Philippines, but not just in the Philippines, but all of Southeast Asia. And so I'll talk a little bit more about what we're prepping the men that we're educating to do. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you is that ACU is not accredited in the Philippines. There's a good reason for that. The Philippine government requires the university to allow certain things, a host of liberal doctrine, including female preachers. Open Door Ministry, Asian Christian University, said to the Philippines, no thank you, we're not interested. Not willing to compromise doctrine. The Lord's doctrine, it's not ours, it's His. And so what has happened over time is the Lord has blessed that decision, because they came back to ACU and they said, here's what we'll do for you. You allow your graduates to take just one semester course in our education system, and they pass that course. We will recognize the degree. We will allow your graduates to teach in the public school system in the Philippines. Now, that's providence, and that's important, because a lot of the congregations that have been established in the Philippines do not have the means to fully support a minister. And so there is, of necessity, an ability for those men at times to go into the community and to facilitate the support for their family, because the congregation in some cases cannot do that. They have the ability to go directly in if they desire to do that. So ACU was born. Now, going back to Open Door Ministry, what is Open Door Ministry? Primarily the work is in the Philippines, but DMAR has been really all over the world. I don't have time to go into all of the countries he's been to establish churches. Actually, 2 churches were started in the United States through this mission work, one in New York, which is mainly a Russian congregation, and also one in the state of Florida that is fully functional with elders. So very good. 16,000 plus conversions in the time with Open Door Ministry with 138 congregations, 3,500 plus conversions in the Philippines, and just this past July we established the 58th church since 2006. So in 17 years the Lord has blessed that effort. Now, what I want to tell you a little bit about is Asian Christian University. That is our focus. It is not a preaching school. It is not a preaching school where you get a certificate like, let's say, the Georgia School of Preaching, the Memphis School of Preaching. This is a full-fledged university. You pick this university up and you set it in the States, and it would probably be fully accredited. Asian Christian University, we offer a 2-year degree, an Associate of Theology. Back in July, these 5 gentlemen graduated with their 2-year degree. All of them are enrolled to continue their education with Asian Christian University. We also offer a Bachelor of Theology, of course, a full 4-year degree. These are the 3 gentlemen that graduated with their bachelor degree. All of them are enrolled to obtain their master's at ACU. We offer a Master of Ministry. These are the 5 gentlemen that graduated in July with their Master of Ministry degree. 2 of these gentlemen are actually on staff at ACU, and the bottom right is the president of the university, Juna Seguret. The one to the left is Marsan Lumagasan. He is the director of evangelism. Both of them graduated with their Master of Ministry degree. We also offer a Master of Divinity. For those of you who have been through school, you would know that a Master of Divinity degree is about double what a normal master degree is. Some people have called it just a little bit of a step down from a doctorate degree. It's very, very detailed and very thorough degree, much more required there. We do offer that there. And eventually, when it gets to that stage, a Doctor of Ministry. We have the staff to facilitate that. And so those that desire to go to that level, we will have the ability to produce doctorates at ACU. The mission was established to educate and to train young men to be effective preachers and missionaries. You remember we talked about the premise of going into the Soviet Union unprepared. The idea is what we're doing at ACU is we're not just producing preachers. The goal is to evangelize all of Southeast Asia. So yes, we're going into the Philippines, but we are training these young men to be effective in the mission field. As doors of opportunity open in Southeast Asia, these gentlemen will have the ability to go and immediately adapt into the culture and the surrounding countries. The goal, China. When and if that door ever fully opens, brethren, the Lord will expect the church to go. He will. And we're preparing that because all of our students are required to take classes to learn Mandarin Chinese. One of our faculty on staff there at ACU went to China and studied the language. He is now teaching that to all of our students. And so there is an ability to prepare and to immediately go and to integrate into society in these countries and to speak the language. So that's important. This is our staff. You notice the 2, the one in the middle and the one to your far right. Those are the gentlemen that graduated with their Master of Ministry degree. It is important for you to know that we do not run the day-to-day operations from the United States. It is very important that with a university in the Philippines that we have the Filipino people run the university, and that is what we have. Junus is the president of the university. He is a preacher, but he is also a practicing attorney, which we have found has benefited us greatly. The other gentleman just to his right is the gentleman that went into China. to learn the Chinese language. He is our academic dean. The one to Junius' left, immediately to his left is Arnel Amanito, and then Philip Brent Palacio on the far left. He's our technical director. So our Filipino faculty. If you know anything about the Philippines, maybe you don't, thousands of islands, not hundreds, thousands of islands. Most of them cannot be inhabited, but many of them are. And so you'll understand why that's important when we get to our lesson in the worship hour. But I know this is difficult to see, but obviously the most well-known city is Manila. You can see that on at the bottom of the larger portion of the island that you can see at the top there. You go almost straight north, you see a yellow star there. That is our campus, ACU. That is the territory called Luzon. We're in the northern Luzon area. And so we fly into Manila and then travel about 3 or 4 hours north to the university, which is near the coast. I want to take you on a tour of the campus. If you've ever been to Manila, you know, at least in my mind, when we went over there, I was there in February, the assistant director, Bill Rayburn, said to me, "I'm sensing that this is not what you expected." And I told him, I said, no, I'm just taking it all in. I'm just observing. Manila is very much like, well, you could call it the New York City of the Philippines. It's massive. Well, when you get 3 hours north, you get obviously into the country, and then you're meted when you come to ACU with a gated facility. All right, and this is what you'll see when you arrive. You see the banner that's on the outside. You see that you can't tell who they are, but the 12 gentlemen that are on that banner, they are the ones that took the semester course more recently and passed and have the ability to go into the public school system in the Philippines and to supplement their income. When you come into the university, as I mentioned, it's a gated facility. You have to be let in by security. Ladies and gentlemen, there's not just a lock that you unlock yourself. You have to be let in. Okay, we take this very serious. As you'll see, we have a children's home on campus as well. So we have young people there. We want to protect our investment. And as you know, young people sometimes do not make the best of decisions. So we're also wanting to protect them from poor decisions. You can see the camera that is there. We have dismissed people from the university, young people from the university for mischief that camera has caught. Again, it's not, we're not trying to do that just as so we can hang something over their head. We're trying to keep people safe. And so it's not that ACU is located in a bad area, but we are convinced and believe that this is in our best interest to protect our investment. And so you have to be let in by security. As you come into the left, that's the main drive going back. You can see the banner that was created there to welcome us back in February, and then there's a gazebo they do. And you can see to the picture to the left maybe how the grounds are kept. It looks nice, doesn't it? We do not hire out and bring people in to keep the grounds. The students, the young people, that's their job. So they're taught to take care of what the Lord has entrusted to them. So they're not just there to get a degree. They're not just there to grow up, the young people. They're there to work. And so it goes much deeper than just an, I told you, it's not just a preaching school. Yes, we're training them to preach, but it's so much more than that. This is the mission house. This is where we stay when we go over. In a month and a half, I will be going back over to ACU to participate in a lectureship. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a few minutes. That can house, it has 8 different rooms. And so for those that desire to go, we have the ability to house those individuals. This is the dining hall. This is where obviously they eat, but also we host the majority of our events. You can see the exterior a little bit closer up. Very nice area for the guys to make it's theirs. And so we wanted to make sure it was nice. This is an interior picture of that back in February where we were set up for the lectureship. You can see it's nice and large, and you'll see some other pictures that'll show you exactly how many that we can hold there. This is a picture going back toward, this is from the mission house that I took when I was there in February, just to show you how beautiful the area is and how well kept it is. I wanted to show that to you. These are the dorms. The students stay on campus. We can house up to 80 students. Now, pre-pandemic, we were in the 50s in the student body. Now, more recently, because of the pandemic and COVID, that dwindled, but we're now back almost to the level that we were pre-pandemic. But we have the ability to grow into housing 80 students. We just built 3 cottages on the campus for faculty that live on campus with their families, which was very important because they were being housed in the dorms. They were taking up space, so there was a need to build them their own homes so that we could create additional space. And so it's difficult, they're very long buildings, they're difficult to get the entire buildings in the picture. Some of the administrative buildings, the administrative building is in the bottom right. The picture that's directly in front of you, that is where classes are held. And then the picture in the top right is a building that houses offices for faculty. This is the setup in one of the rooms. You can see the students have their own cubicle with a computer where they can engage in online instruction. Now, what is the involvement from the United States? Obviously, the Filipino faculty that's teaching the students, they have classrooms to do that, but we instruct and teach from America. We have American faculty that do that. Some of the regular faculty, it's difficult to see him. The gentleman in the top right corner, his name is James G. He's done a lot of mission work. He is on our adjunct faculty, as well as people that have taught classes, men such as Phil Sanders, Kyle Butt. There's some folks at Heritage Christian University that have done some classes. And so that will be, as I'll talk in just a minute, eventually part of my responsibility as well. What's interesting is right now the Philippines, they are 13 hours ahead. And so to educate these men, it'll often be that you're up teaching class online at 5 a.m. in the morning or 10 o'clock at night to make it easier for them during their hours. But that's the setup that they have. Now, this is the Adairsville Library. This building was funded by the Adairsville congregation that oversees Open Door. Listen, this is just a part of it. There's another section of computers for research that line the wall. It's massive. That was a big reason that they were able to grow and to morph into a university. But where they're able to go and spend time in the library and do research and prepare and study. This is the Moultrie Auditorium. Now, they love basketball. Now, we were talking beforehand. I know this is football country. I get it, but I'm a basketball guy, okay? And so I'm sure you are too. And so when I saw this, I was like, sign me up. I played basketball and they love it. And so, but we use this facility for more than recreation. We use it for other types of events, which you'll see here in just a little bit. But we built that as recreation for the guys so that they can have some time to hang out on their own. Now, this is in February. I wanted to show this picture for this reason. I was told before we went over there, they said, be careful what you say and what you ask because they are very literal. So in this picture, in this moment, I walked over to them and I said, guys, are you going to be playing ball this week? And they said, oh, yeah, absolutely. I said, great. Come and get me when you go to play ball. I wanted to play ball with them. And so they came up to me, I'd say an hour or two later after this picture, and they said, Sir Derek, and that's what they would refer to you if you were there, Sir Derek, or, Madam Natalie, or however. So very respectful. They said, how about 5 o'clock? I thought they were joking. I really did. I thought they were joking. And I just kind of laughed it off. I said, no, that's okay. That's all right. I said, but when you get ready to play, let me know. Well, guess what happened at 5 o'clock the next morning? In the mission house, I get a knock on the mission house, And, Sir Derek, are you ready to play basketball? And I had to stand there for just a minute. I thought, this is real. And then it came back to me that be careful what you say. They're very literal. And so I could not resist. So there we are at 5:30 in the morning playing basketball in the dark. And so good times, right? And so they love each other. They love to be together. They love to compete together. So a lot more than just going in and academics. This is about the full experience and life experience for these gentlemen as they're growing up in the church. This is an aerial view of the campus. In the bottom left corner is the entrance to the university and goes diagonal through that. All of the red-colored top roofings there belong to ACU. Now to the top right, what would be almost in the picture now are the three cottages. You can see the wall that kind of lines at the top right. That all of that territory that goes way out, which I don't have a picture to show you, the entire territory is all ACUs, all of it. And we built 3 cottages for the families there, and you'll see a picture in a moment, but if you're looking at that and you go to the right of the picture and kind of south is where the girls' home is. In the very middle at the top, that's the boys' home, the children's home that's on campus there. So all of that territory belongs to us. And when we pulled in, I'm telling you, just the drive as we started, before we even got to the mission house, I said, sign me up. I knew, I could tell that they take it serious. They take it, if you're going to present this and you're going to care for this and these young men are going to be involved in this and be good stewards of what the Lord has blessed, I knew. I said, sign me up. I had not even got out of the van. Now, my role in Open Door, where does that come in? So, short term, I started, obviously agreed just a little over a year ago, started raising funds in April. So this has been going on for almost a full 8 months. So obviously that is the primary goal. To transition away from secular employment to where I can be a part of the mission work on a full-time basis. So obviously there is a need to provide for my family. My wife stays at home and educates our kids. That was important for us before we ever had kids. That was just what we wanted to do. We said we're going to homeschool the kids. We have 4. They're all being homeschooled. This is Casey's 7th year in homeschooling the kids. And so it was important for us to find something that would allow that to continue. And this is it. Now, I've long wanted to get my master's, and so this requires that to happen. I cannot teach in the university with just a secular bachelor degree. I can't do that. And so this allows me to get my master's degree. In fact, I am enrolled at Freed-Hardeman University to get my Master of Divinity. I've started that process. I have only been able to take 1 course per semester to this point because of the full-time job, because I am a husband and I am a father, and the need to raise funds. It's a lot of work. And so that was important. I wanted to show those who were considering to contribute that, yes, I am serious. I've already started that process. It's not just something that's in the works. As I mentioned, I will eventually be teaching freshman level courses online as a grad student. Obviously, that will grow as the degree comes as well. Now, I want to tell you that there is a responsibility that we have to go over there 3 times annually. So that's a part of the process. And February is when we go over and hold a lectureship for the student body and the alumni. So I'll show you some pictures of that. This was us in February. The assistant director is Bill Rayburn. He's in the very middle. I am on the far right there, and that's most of the student body. Actually, there's more there. The picture, we just couldn't get them all in. But in February, when we were there on a workshop about digital ministry, doing ministry in a digital world. And so this was myself and Dr. Andy Irwin's on the far right. He's in Tennessee. He's part of our faculty as well, and Bill Rayburn when we were presenting our lectures. At the end of that is what they call Foundation Day. It might be very similar to a day where schools of preaching have lectureship and they bring the alumni in together for fellowship and association. Well, this is what they do. Team building activities with the existing student body as well as the alumni. Many of the alumni come back to connect and to network. That's very, very important. And so some of the team building activities going on there. At the end of the trip, we go back into Manila and we host a seminar, a leadership seminar for the churches in Manila. And this was the leadership seminar that we were holding. Actually, this was a little bit after it ended, so there were much more that actually attended the event than this here. This is us presenting the work. It is streamed live online where we were discussing, Bill was discussing elders, Andy was talking about preachers, and I was talking about deacons. Now, in May, there is a workshop that we go over that's called Teach the Teacher. Here's what I want you to realize. You're going to see some pictures in a few minutes. And what you're going to see in a majority of those pictures is initially many of the converts are female. Now, when we convert females in the church, what is there a need for them to learn to do? They need to teach their family. They need to teach the kids in the church. And that just doesn't come naturally as soon as you come out of the baptistry. So we go over, we take a team of individuals over there, and we hold a workshop every year for the ladies, and we teach them and show them ways to teach their family. So what ACU is doing, as I mentioned to you, this is an investment in the church. It's much bigger and much broader than just the gentlemen that are preaching. This was the workshop this past May. In the very middle was the team of ladies that came over. I think many of those were from the state of Texas and maybe from other areas. The students are in the middle. The ladies that came for the workshop are probably about the back 3 or 4 rows. It's probably a 2 to 3 day workshop, but at the end of that workshop, we host a ladies' day. Brethren, it's filled to capacity. We can't get that in the States. Not much. I don't remember the exact number, but it was probably close to 500 from 2 continents, and maybe the number of congregations represented there were in the 60s, if I remember correctly. They're hungry. They want to learn. They want to be taught. And so you can see the dining hall that's how large it is. It has the capability to do more than eat. So we're making good use of what the Lord has given us to host these types of events. You can see the young ladies who have a desire to learn. You can see they're taking notes, many of them. They're attentive. They want to learn. They want to know more. In July, we go back for graduation. But it's also important to note that probably the most important reason that we go over there is the medical evangelism campaign. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. This is the advertisement for this past July, where the gentleman you saw the pictures earlier who graduated the commencement exercises, the 12th year that we had folks graduating. Every July, we go to an area in the province of Pangasinan where ACU is located, to where the church does not exist. And it is our goal through a medical campaign, whatever type of medical campaign it is, to host that over 2 days, to conduct Bible studies, and we plant another church. Now, who's going to minister to that church? The student body, the faculty, the alumni that graduate. And so that's the need to bring more students in so that we have the ability to continue to minister to the congregations that are planted. You'll understand a little bit more about why we do this in the worship hour in the lesson that I'll be presenting. But this is a few pictures. Now, I will tell you that with this planting, we had 6 people converted. The previous year, I believe we had 18. One of the reasons we believe that we weren't as successful with this is because we were on the back end and handling at the same time the remnants of a typhoon that had come through locally. And so there was flooding that blocked streets and people could not get there. But this is a group, the two on the right were workers that came over from America. You can see Bill Rayburn on the left. That's one of the students, and you see two of the ladies in the middle. I think the lady to the left also came over from the States, but two of the older ladies in the middle were converts. The gentleman in the middle there was a convert. There were a few others. So it's unfortunate that that happened, but things happen, right? But we still planted the church. And it's being ministered to. Brethren, it doesn't matter whether there's 50 converts or 2 converts. Belief was established, conversion happened, the church exists. And so that church has been planted. Now, some continuing with short-term goals. The short term that says 1 to 2 years, it doesn't mean I have 2 years to accomplish this. This is just what will happen in the 2-year time frame. So I will be eventually traveling with the director and the assistant director to meet existing donors. Of course, I will be responsible for raising funds for the ministry work itself. ACU does not run on the Filipino dollar. It runs on the American dollar, fully funded through America. We wire money to them monthly to run the university. All the students need to be sponsored, and those in the children's home as well. The long-term goal, 3 years and beyond, I wanted everyone to know our hand is to the plow. That was important for me to get over there in February to see the work, to communicate to you who are participating and supporting us that we're very serious about this. And hence the move, I'm happy to announce that December 11th, I tendered my resignation with my secular employer. And so now we'll be full-time with the mission work. We are not fully supported yet. We still need to raise funds to do that. But we have enough to where I can break away from that. And I am enrolled now full-time at Freed-Hardeman online to get my Master of Divinity. I will start the spring semester in a few days. Eventually campaign director, to where I will organize the campaigns where we go over there 3 times annually. And then eventually take over day-to-day operations of ACU with Junice, the president. You see Bill and Demar. Bill is in his mid-70s. Demar is at least 80. And they saw the need to duplicate themselves. And so they were looking for someone to come into the mission work that long-term, Lord willing, could take it over completely. And that's what they hired me to do. And so, Lord willing, that will happen over time as they phase out for whatever reason, is that I could take over the director of the mission work altogether. And of course, there will always be a need to recruit and organize faculty and raise funds. Now, what I want to do, I know we just have a few minutes. I just want to go through these pictures quickly. What I want you to realize with Open Door Ministry and ACU is this is what it's about. Brethren, any mission work that exists, if this is not the goal, we need to scrap it. It is about saving souls. And you're going to see that primarily most of these individuals that are being converted are female. And the students are doing the immersing. Okay? On Saturdays, they don't go over to the auditorium and play basketball. They go to the area where they have been assigned to work and they evangelize. And then they return on Sunday to preach. And then they come back to campus and all week they work and they study. Yes, they have recreation time and they're allowed time off, but they're busy working. You can see more immersions here. As part of their education, these are second and third year students back during the summer, a 6-week required course where they are shipped to congregations throughout the Philippines, some all the way south down in the Mindanao area, where they go and they partner with congregations and they work and they evangelize. And this is 3 groups that did that and the fruit of their effort. You can see the 2 gentlemen in the middle studying with some young men and eventually baptizing them. Here they're baptizing, the same 2 are baptizing 3 females that they studied with. The same thing with another group, baptisms, door knocking, handing out invitations to group Bible studies. And of course, there's times for them to fellowship with the local congregation. Listen, most of you I've never met before. But is there not, no matter where you go in the Lord's church, a familiarity, a commonality that binds us? And it's Jesus. You and I should be able to immediately fellowship. Why? Not because you and I choose to, but because we're in fellowship here. We're in fellowship here. He binds us. We don't choose that. And so we need to make this kind of effort, and you see that happening with the local. You can see, look at, they're thrilled. Now, you've seen them do this, right? Hold up the finger. They're not saying, and what does it mean in America when we do this? I'm number one, right? You've got how many Division I schools in America, when they win, they hold up that finger claiming the position of number one. That's not what they're saying. They're pointing up. That's their way of saying glory to God without verbalizing it. And so when you see them doing that, holding that up, that's what they're saying. The gentleman to the left in the burgundy shirt, he is one of our alumni. He's down in the Mindanao area. He housed our students and took them to the area congregations for their work. Now, they're also required to get into the community. I told you about our connections into the school system. The bottom two pictures are our students tutoring in the public school system. So this is not about just getting a degree to preach. It's making an investment in the community and the church. You can see at the top, they're involved in a youth camp. You can see the camp to the left. They're also involved in a Facebook Live Bible study that happens every day of every year. They don't take days off. They're required to participate in that. This was a picture from last year. They just got done a few days ago with a youth camp where they brought in almost 500 youth. This is a picture. Very similar to the Ladies' Day. We just got back from exposure. Almost 3,000 people were there. Similar type of atmosphere here at ACU. And a result of that, 20 immersions at camp. This was just a few days ago. Also during the summer, this is our faculty with high school age young men from area congregations. They bring them in and they do 1 to 2 day and week courses where they strengthen them and teach them leadership skills. Again, an investment in the church. You see this gentleman here. He is the first Chinese student. Open Doors, Southeast Asia. He came over from China. So the Lord has blessed us there. We send our faculty over into Singapore for a lectureship where they network and they get continuing education as well. Very quickly, I know I'm out of time, I want to show you just a few pictures of the children's home. This is the girls' campus. You can see it is gated. You can see the security office in the top right. The top left is the home where they're at now. The bottom left is for growth. And so this is ACU, the campus. If you're at the bottom right of that picture, you come back this way and that's where the campus is. All of that territory is ours. This are the students or the children in the children's home. We have 49. I believe the number now is 29 that have obeyed the gospel. We brought a social worker in that had been there. She was not a Christian. We're required to have a social worker. She was there. They studied with her. They converted her. She left to go back home to be close to her family, but she's faithful in the local congregation. Brethren, we're serious about saving souls over there. This was me in the girls' home. You see what she's doing. She's taking the palm of my hand and placing it on her forehead. That's a sign of respect. So they're teaching children, even in their culture, proper respect. We have kids here that don't know how to say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. They teach these kids proper respect. You can see in Bible time their interest in studying, and they love pictures, y'all. You get the camera out, and they flock. They flock to you. So, and then that's the boys there. All right. How can you help? Just real quick. You already have. Brethren, it's never the least we can do. Never is prayer. It's the best we can do. It is. Going to the throne room of God and asking for His assistance is always the best that we can do. Obviously, we're looking for folks that can help us monthly. One-time contributions are helpful as well. Here's something that some folks don't often think about. Share a contact. If you know somebody, somewhere, that's an end to a church, will you share that with me, please? We need more that we can tell about this work, the better off that we'll be. And of course, you're welcome to attend a campaign if you so choose. I can get you some information on that. I know I'm over time. Thank you for being patient. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Very good presentation.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I just wanted to